Hi, everybody. So we're here today. This is Katie, and that's Blake over there, whichever direction you are. And we're here today, and we're going to talk a little bit about social media and the communication that happens over social media. And when Katie and I were discussing this topic, we thought, well, we better bring Blake in because he's like the expert on social media, and we really enjoy communication. And so what would it be like for our two worlds to come together and have a dialogue around the importance of social media, how we use it, and some of the dangers, like some of the rules that you talk about, Blake, we found really profound. So welcome.
Thank you. Welcome to you as well, even though you're the lead.
So why don't you start by telling a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then let's get into a little bit of a conversation and see if we can't help people around the miscommunication that happens on social media.
Awesome. Well, my name is Blake, and I think the easiest way for me to summarize what I do is I appreciate people, and I enjoy doing it in innovative ways, and sometimes old school ways, like writing thank you cards when people don't expect it, or sending messages on social media just to say some kind of compliment, which is what led to this conversation right here. Is just I was acknowledging Neha for one of her awesome videos that she produced. So it's funny how those things happen. And one of the domains of my work, because I do work with companies and colleges, one of them is with elementary school age students and also high schools. But the elementary school work that I do is entirely around a program called My Life Online, which is teaching kids to be safe, smart, and kind online. And we built the program, my business partner and I, essentially because we felt as though social media was where so much time was being spent by young people, and it was such a great opportunity for kids to appreciate each other, but in the context of social media. So it's another one of the vehicles for appreciation in my world of work, though we frame it around social media and how young people are beginning their lives online, knowing that it is something that we don't want to say haunts them forever, but reflects them forever. And so why not begin in a way that sets them up for success? So that's a little blurb about the big picture of what I'm up to always and how My Life Online fits into that world of work.
So I love your clarity. I love your clarity about what your true vision and purpose is, what you value most, which is the appreciation of others, and that this is one medium in which you can express that with one group that you're discussing right now. So that was pretty powerful. What do you think?
Yeah, totally. I remember when we first looked at your website, both your personal website and My Life Online, both of us looked at each other after we watched that intro video and we had tears in our eyes because we were really moved by your work and what you're doing and seeing the reaction from all the kids as well. It's really powerful. So that's why we're so excited about it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of parents are doing the best that they know how, but they didn't grow up in the era of social media. We've got them in an era that they don't understand fully. And so do you find ever that people's first instinct is to like restrict their kids? Like it's like, no, not that, like you can't do that, or that's terrible, or do you find most people pretty open?
I think the first instinct is often to restrict their kids, mainly because it buys them time. I think with social media, if parents restrict their kids from getting their own phone or opening up an Instagram account, it gives the parent a bit of a window to go learn more or to observe more or to talk to other parents about what they're doing with their kids, because it's kind of like stopping a tidal wave, this social media thing. It's not like learning to drive a car where, okay, well, I'm a parent. I've driven cars. I can teach my kid how to drive a car. Cars are a bit different now, but I got this. Or even alcohol and drugs. I mean, most parents have some context to how that has impacted their life. So if that comes up with their kids, they can speak to it in a way. Social media, it's so new. on so many levels, and it becomes newer and newer and newer. So to keep up with it at any age is difficult, but if parents of young kids today can buy themselves some time before their kids enter this boundless ecosystem of people and relationships and conversations, I think that is why they restrict their kids as long as they can, just out of getting a little bit of time to learn as much as they can before it's, okay, fine, open up your YouTube account.
Right. So it's really interesting that you say that, because a topic that Katie and I have talked about, and that I'm also talking about in my second book, is around transparency. And it's almost like the internet came and it gave us instant access to each other, but it didn't necessarily give us true connection with each other.
Right.
And so there's a difference there that I think people should be paying attention to. It's this big gift and it gives us access, but it definitely doesn't guarantee true connection. And once we got the internet, and then it turned into social media. It's almost like we had the best half of our lives on social media, and then we already compared ourselves to people, but now we're like comparing ourselves to the highlight reel of someone else's life.
Yeah.
And I think that what I'm noticing now in the world is we've changed presidents, we have different philosophies going on. One president moved more from his head and thought and logic, and another one is moving more from his heart and emotion, and using social media. And what I think is really being revealed right now is that we have created all this transparency, like doctors who used to be in charge of their patients now getting Yelp reviews back from patients on the internet. And so there's a way that we have lost control of the norms that we used to use. And I think the problem is that we have not educated this generation or any of these generations in the emotion that comes with honesty, transparency, and real conversations.
Yes.
Does that make sense? It's like we don't know how to handle when somebody starts writing things that are, hurtful online. So what they do is they go into anonymous mode, and then they start writing from that place of hatred where you don't know me and I can spew all this stuff out.
Yeah. And all along, I feel like people, since the beginning of people, talk behind each other's backs, honestly. It's like, oh, that person, blah, 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 behind their back. And now it continues because it's a part of human nature some of the time, or a lot of the time. But while people are having those conversations behind another person's back, odds are high that their hands are on their phone. And so that super real talk, unfiltered speak is going into a device that then might actually get back to that person, either on purpose or accidentally. And so I agree with that. I don't think we're really equipped for that because it never used to really get directly to us because it lived behind closed doors or behind people's backs, and now it comes into our cell phone when we might be in the middle of a work meeting or in the middle of a meal, and it's completely out of, it's like a dart comes into our domain of emotion, and we're like, okay, here we are. So some people are really good at dealing with that, and a lot of people aren't, and we have to then just deal with the outcomes of that.
Yeah. And, I think what I would say is I'm going to have a little beef with you on other people not finding out before social media because, I don't know, I'm Indian, and every Bollywood movie is about everybody talking about each other and saying, if I start a conversation with Katie, I'm going to tell you something, but don't tell so-and-so.
I'm going to go.
It's going to end up at so-and-so. But there may not have been written proof of it. There may not have been that thing where you can see in black and white it's attached to that person. And that's also what I was speaking about when I was talking about if people don't want to be the person who takes accountability for it, they post anonymously. I've done TEDx talks, and the things people have said, on the comments section, are really startling to me. Like in one of my talks, I was a little tearful. Like I was really moved and touched by the story I was saying. I was feeling vulnerable as I was saying it on stage. And somebody said, why did you have to fake cry to get attention? Wow. Like fascinating, right? So just a really interesting dynamic that has started to happen online. So Blake, I am really curious for your thoughts on how you would give advice to a parent that wanted to help guide their child through this endeavor, right, of going into the whole online world. What would you say to them?
We love to come up with conversation starters for parents to have with their kids because, to be honest, keeping up with security settings and nuances about individual social media platforms, that is an infinite conversation, and we have those. But if you are a parent who just wants to begin a dialogue with your kids about social media, one thing that we talk about is fear-based versus goal-based, because oftentimes the topic of social media, parents are scared of it, and rightfully so. It's like a world with no gates. It's just the Wild West with Wi-Fi. And so naturally there's fear there, and a fear-based approach from a parent to their kids might sound like, here's what you don't do online, here's who you don't talk to online, here's when you won't go online, here's what you will not ever involve yourself in online.
Yeah, these are the sites you can't go to, and this is what we're not allowing you.
Right, it's the you will never cross the street instead of this is how you cross the street. And goal-based approach is essentially speaking to your kids about what they're into. Just having conversations about the music they like, the job they think would be cool to have, a place in the world they might want to visit, what YouTube videos they've watched in the last week, and why that person, like tell me more. Just what is your kid into, and surface that, because then it's selfishly driven for those kids. Like, ooh, I love this stuff. I want these games. I want these toys. I want these jobs. I want to go to these places. I want to hang out with these people, and I want to dress like that individual. Okay, pause. Now, since social media is a tool to help young people, or all people, access more of what they want in life, then parents can have a conversation about, okay, so if you want to be a DJ, how can you use social media in a way that doesn't hurt your chances of achieving that? How can you use social media in a way that helps your chances in achieving that? And so a goal-based approach to social media is a parent getting really in tune with what their kids want and showing them that they now have this vehicle that did not exist when their parents were growing up, a vehicle that can completely ruin all those things that they say they want, or it can completely make possible all those things that they say they want. And so then it always comes back to, well, you say you want this, so let's just make sure you use it in a way that makes that more likely. Instead of back in the day where it's, I will take away your Nintendo privileges. It's, look, if you want Nintendo privileges, there's this thing that can kind of just either ruin it or make it possible. So let's behave in a way that helps everyone succeed and makes it possible and positive for everyone.
Yeah, and so what would you have kids before they're posting? Like, what should they be thinking about before they make that decision? Like, hey, I'm going to post this. What do I need to be thinking about?
We give kids a lot of different ideas, but the two main ones, there's sort of a big question and then a few sub-questions. And the big question that we always ask kids is, what do you want to say to the world? And more importantly, what do you want the world to be saying about you? Because every comment or every photo or every video you're saying something to the world, and the moment that's up there, that is what the world now gets to be saying about you. So what do you want that to say? And that's like the big overarching umbrella that drives what they put online and how they behave online. But then we say, look, we want to help you make the most of every post. Because at the end of the day, this isn't something that just happens. It's the accumulation of every move you make online. And we don't want you to be scared of that. We want you to be excited and empowered by that. So before you hit post, here's 3 questions. And the first question is this true? If it's not true, just don't post it. Save yourself the trouble. But if it is true, go to the next question. And the next question is simply, is it kind? So if it is true, but if it's not kind, just park it right there. We're good. Let's stop. But if it is true and if it is also kind, then go to the final question. And the final question we love because we've made it all-encompassing. And the third question simply goes as, is it you? And that encapsulates the piece around, is this what you want to be saying to the world, and is this what you want the world to be saying about you? And if a kid says, well, this wasn't kind, but it's okay that people think I'm a jerk, well, we can't stop you. I mean, they're individuals. They'll do what they want. But our hope is that they say, oh, well, I don't really know if I want to be showing up in a way that someone thinks I'm self-absorbed or cruel. So, yeah, I won't post that. I'll change it before I post it so that it passes those 3 little loops, or I'll just put nothing. It's a good old, if you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all. Well, that line was made when dinosaurs roamed the earth. Now that there's internet, I mean, if you don't have anything nice to post, just throw your phone into the next room for fear that you'll just cause some harm on others or yourself. So is it true? Is it kind? Is it you? That is what we equip young people with, and we give them little bracelets with those 3 questions. That way, when they're typing with their thumbs, the closest thing to those thumbs is true, kind, you, every time.
Oh,
Very cool.
Love that.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
I absolutely love that. Blake, thank you so much for giving us your pearls of wisdom on the internet and social media and how to have a framework to just kind of think through. Is it true? Is it kind? And is it you? I think that was phenomenal. Thanks, Blake.
Thank you for having me. See you later.
Bye.